Looking for some new podcasts to listen to? Well, Rat Salad Review Network has plenty of shows to choose from. Like Rat Salad Review, where they discuss the latest rock and metal news, as well as interviews and albums. Album versus Album, the King Diamond Podcast, with Wayne Noon, Greg Noggle, and sometimes this guy.
Smack 'em a gob!
Ralph Viera is also on our network with the Viera Vault. There's also Old Man Metal's Musings, where he discusses heavy metal and beer. Music is Life with Lou Mavs. The Right Opinion for those who love politics. A South Park podcast called Suck My Balls. The Infinite Fringe, a watch-along wrestling show called Beyond Bushido. Ex-Stradivarius guitarist, the Timo Tolkki podcast. And the Great Harry Barnett with I Don't Even Like Podcast and the Laughcast. So check out ratsaladreview.com or search Rat Salad Review on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. All right, side B. We're back.
Should have Lisa on more often. She makes me laugh.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're a lot of fun.
I'm a guy's gal. When you're a 12-year-old bass player, you don't have any female friends, really. You're just hanging out with the guys, you know.
Very true.
Yeah. And I was that weird kid, in the mosh pit, so.
Caught in a mosh. I'm going to have to listen to Anthrax.
I was always the one leaving the mosh pits.
I was let me in there. Let me at him. Pick me up.
It's funny.
The guys put their hands together,
Oh, yeah, but it's funny because everybody used to use the same clip for me because I was always stoned or on acid or something. So people would show me that clip of Otto, the bus driver from The Simpsons at the Judas Priest concert. Sit down! You're ruining it for everyone!
One of the last concerts I went to was Life of Agony, 20-year anniversary of River Runs Red. And I don't know if you guys probably never saw them live, right?
Yeah, I did.
You have?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is the singer now a female?
He is now a female, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was probably one of the craziest shows I went to. Me and my friends were actually right on the guardrail. And as soon as they came on, everybody just rushed to the front of the stage, and then they started a mosh pit. And my friend's ribs got broken, but he lasted the whole show. I was out of there. After the first song, I was like, "There's no way, I can't take this." So I get out of that shit. I stay in the back.
And I broke 4 ribs last year.
Last year, Jesus.
Yeah.
Stop going to mosh pits.
Max Cavalera. What was the band he's in now?
Soulfly.
Soulfly. Was that a Soulfly? I got knocked clean down by a man with one arm. I kid you not.
Wow. That's impressive.
I skipped right into the pit, and this guy, he looked right at me like, I want to be your friend, and he ran directly at me. At him.
Wow.
This one-armed man knocked me down. I broke 4 ribs. Asshole.
Damn.
But guess what? I stayed for the rest of the show.
Hell yeah. That's nice. That reminds me. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but in the Miami International Airport, there was a guy arrested for beating his wife, and that guy was the drummer of Def Leppard.
Oh, yes, that's right.
He did it with one arm.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a true story.
That is true.
What is wrong with that woman?
I'm like, wow, what a pimp hand.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I just want to know what's wrong with that woman.
I know, right? What's wrong with? She's got two arms. She's gonna beat the hell out of him.
Right.
Maybe she's Japanese or something. I mean, they're demure,
Yeah, probably. Probably she enjoyed it. Who knows?
Maybe she.
I mean, there's submissive girls out there.
I can attest that a one-armed man can be very dangerous.
Oh yeah.
They break ribs.
They break ribs and slap women in airports.
I have fallen down many times in the pit, but I have never fallen down and had like a dozen people standing around me going, "Are you okay?" before. So I knew it was bad. I knew it looked bad. So
I've been in many pits, and I've only got injured once in a pit, and the only reason I got injured was a stage diver broke my lip. So it wasn't actually in the pit; it was just a flying foot broke my lip right out from a stage diver. It wasn't even a guy in the pit,
Yeah.
I had a kid that was stage diving try to fight me once because he was so pissed. It was at the M3 Rock Fest down in Virginia. And Y&T was on, and they go to play Mean Streak, and he gets up there and went to jump right on top of me. I went like this and threw him.
Oh.
I didn't realize it was right into the railing, but...
Ouch.
You're not
More
jumping
ribs
on
broken.
me.
Well, I got a good one. I got stuck between two monitors. I was crowd surfing, and they dumped me off, and I was stuck with my arms and my legs up. Just my butt was stuck between two monitors at a Henry Rollins show, and I couldn't get out. And so Rollins comes over, and he's like leaning over and singing at me, and like almost like laughing at me, until some security comes and pulls me out. I was completely stuck. I was so embarrassed.
Was it damaged? Did he just sit there and sing damaged?
I don't remember. I don't know what it was, man. Oh God, it was mortifying.
Oh, that's a rough one.
I was stuck. I could not move.
I'm leaving all this in. Welcome back to.
You must.
I must.
Welcome
These are the
back.
funny stories. Welcome back to this broadcast. Stop interrupting me, God damn it!
Shut your damn Jew mouth, Wayne.
Oh.
Sorry, I watch
Jewish.
a lot of
For
South
Christ's
Park.
sakes, I'm not Jewish.
Hey, what do I always tell you? New York's
think
all right if you like saxophones.
Yeah,
You're
fear. Hell yeah.
What'd you say, Lisa? I'm sorry.
Said I'm the only Jew here.
Oh,
I may look like a shiksa, but
sorry. Nah, it's just South
Park.
Yeah.
Believe me. Man, it's a bad.
And actually, we have a South Park podcast on our network, so please go check that out.
Good.
And Greg,
All right.
you're going to be a part of that show, right?
Yep, I'm gonna do Chicken Lover with them.
Welcome back to This Broadcast Belongs to Them. We are on side 2 of King Diamond's Abigail. What the hell was that? An arrow?
The ghost is washing dishes again.
It's the ghost. It's the
It's the
family
Gong
ghost.
Show, 2020.
And here comes the unknown comic.
If the thing comes across and grabs me by my neck and get me out of here, I'm not doing a good job.
Oh, good.
Side B, song 1, The Omen. No.
Oh,
Omens.
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 The Omen talks about the table being set for 3, the coming of the ghost in possession by the ringing church bell and the empty cradle.
Swaying in the air.
This song I'm not as crazy about as most of the other songs. I think it kind of dips down a little bit.
Well, it's more radio friendly to me. It's more
You think
catchy
so?
and it's more straightforward. You know, it's less it's for the most part, it's less complex than a lot of the other songs.
That's why I think I don't like it.
Yeah, maybe.
It's got a cool groove the way it starts out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rhythm line's cool, and I mean, it furthers the plot of the story, and it doesn't sound bad. It's just not very interesting.
Yeah.
He hams it up though.
Yes, he does.
Hams it up. Man, the thing about what about the cradle? You know, the empty cradle swing in the air, and then he does. I did not bring it in here. No. You know, oh, no. Oh, did you? No. He's just totally over the top in that song. So
Yes, he is. But it's cool. It's cool. But like I said, it's just...
there's footage of King Diamond doing this in a club with Pantera back then.
Oh, really?
Without makeup.
Really?
And they nail it too.
So the band is playing it? Yeah.
Yeah, this is before Pantera was big, when they were a club band, and King lives in Texas. And he came out without makeup, and it's on YouTube. You can see it. They do Omens.
Yeah,
and they nail it. They do it just like the record. And King nails it too.
Interesting. Never saw it.
It's got a cool drum beat. The drum beat is cool in that song. Diggadoo, 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 diggadoo. It's complex. That's hard.
I'll have to check. I do have in my possession an uncirculated bootleg of the show I was at in Miami Beach. But the reason it's uncirculated because it's so distorted. You can hardly make it out. It's so loud. So I'm not sure if they played that song that night. I'd have to look at that cassette again. But it's either this or The Possession, where there was only one song not played that night from this album. It was either Omens or The Possession. I'll have to go check.
Yeah. Greg, about the song, Omens?
Oh, I pretty much said what I thought of it already. It's okay, but...
Yeah, I love it. I love the groove. I love the little symphonic shit that's going on in the middle. I dig it.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah, that little breakdown thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's just out there. It's like, what the hell? You know?
Yeah.
I love it. Unexpected.
The Possession. This is when he realizes the ghost was right, and Miriam grows steadily more pregnant. She says she's having his baby, my love, and he knows she's possessed as she speaks in tongues. The spirit of Abigail says, I will get what's right. Well, Lisa, you probably say this better than I could. I will get what's rightfully mine.
I will get what's rightfully mine. I don't have a Danish accent, though, you know. I love this. This is probably my favorite song on the record because it's so multi-move. Really? There's so much in there, and like I said, you could take like one little part and like repeat it and make a whole nother song out of it. But it's all and that song is only like it's less than 3.5 minutes long. That's what blows my mind. That's a short song, and there's so much jam. And Michael Denner co-wrote this one.
Yep.
So, you know, but it's proggy. It's kind of mathy a little bit, you know. But the main thing is just it's like 10 songs in one. It's amazing. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Merciful Fate the most. Yep. This one does, actually. Yeah, most likely because Denner wrote part of it. But yeah, with the changes and the way it's constantly going.
Mm-hmm.
Second favorite song for me, but I love The Possession. Great track.
It's groovy.
Yes.
My favorite line?
What's that?
It wasn't love. She was possessed.
Yes.
Yes.
Love it. I love it too. I like the straightforward riffage, how it begins, and it's just. I'm telling you, to me, this album's flawless. I have nothing against any song on here, and this is just another great tune. You know.
I don't know. I'm a little bit differently. As Omens, this one still is not as catchy as the other songs on this album. I don't know what it is. It does have some cool parts in here, but it just doesn't blow me away as much as the other songs do.
It doesn't have a hook.
Right.
No, but like for me, I like a lot of prog, and actually, I don't know how into thrash you guys are, but this reminds me a lot of like a Coroner song with the
I love
intensity
Korn. Yeah.
and the changes. You know, it reminds me of something like Spectators of Sin from R.I.P.
No More Color. R.I.P. is my favorite one. The first one.
Punishment for Decadence for me personally.
Uh-huh.
I was fooled when I was a little kid. I bought an album cover that looked like that. Skeleton playing a violin.
Yeah.
But it was the Grateful Dead. I said, man, this is going to rule. The Grateful Dead. And I got home and I was like, what the hell? Oh, man.
Chuck it up to Buffalo. And it was so sappy. Ralph broke it over his knee and never listened to Jerry Garcia again.
It was traumatizing.
Next song.
You didn't want to be touched by the gray, did you?
No. And I was, unfortunately.
Next song is Abigail. This one, Jonathan is trying to talk to his wife through Abigail's possession, but Abigail has her fully possessed. Says Miriam. Fully possessed. Miriam is dead. I am her head, Abigail says. Miriam reaches out one last time and tells Jonathan to push her down the stairs and kill her. It's the only way. He decides to give in to Abigail and leads his possessed wife to the crypt. I like this song. Again, there's just something about this one. It just still is not as catchy as the other songs.
Really? You think so?
Yeah.
I think this is actually... What's that?
You know what it is? It's the title song of the album. And most of the time, the title songs of the album are supposed to be maybe one of the strongest songs on the whole album.
I think this has the catchiest groove on the whole record. That's what I love about it, man. It's almost... the rhythm section is almost like a Rick James song, man. It's just real fucking groovy and funky, and it's catchy, and it's pretty easy to sing. Abigail,
I think that's what I don't like about it, because he says Abigail, and he says it so many times. It's just like
I love that.
I don't know.
And then when he goes, I am alive inside your wife.
Yes, that is the cool part. The chorus is awesome. But otherwise, the verses, they don't do nothing for me.
It's my second favorite on here.
Really?
Oh, yeah. My favorite line. Get a priest! Love that shit.
He will know how to get her soul back.
Yes.
And I am her head.
Love it. Love this song.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the ending, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because they do that again. I am alive! And soon I'll be free! And then you do
that stuff saves the song. That saves the song for me. Anybody else wanted to add to that?
I love it. Have you heard Ripper does a version of this? It's on YouTube too, a live version. I love it. I think he nails it.
No.
Really? I'd never heard that. I'll have to check it out.
It's like one of those, I don't know, what are those bands called where a bunch of rock stars get together?
Super groups?
Yeah, no, but it's...
No, it has a name to it.
Yeah, it has a name. And I think it was for Roadrunner Records or some...
Roadrunner United?
Something like that. It's professionally shot, and they do it with Ripper. I can't remember who else was in the band, but...
It is called Roadrunner United. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
And it's really, really good.
Well, this album really put Roadrunner on the map.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah.
That
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, looking back at that roster, maybe King Diamond was the biggest artist. I mean, at the time. I mean, Sepultura was later, right?
Yeah. And they basically an importer, as far as I know. They were starting just, as a distributor.
Yeah, Sepultura wasn't actually even on Roadrunner until 1990. I mean, they re-released their earlier albums, but they were only available as imports until Arise came out.
No, that's what I meant. I meant like King Diamond was the biggest till Sepultura came and on the roster. Then they became bigger.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I would think so, but I that's kind of tough to say because Roadrunner was fairly big in Europe, and they had a big distribution deal over there. So I think it would kind of depend on the territory you're from.
Yeah, I got to look into who was on the roster back then. I mean, I know I have like the band Toxic, Heart Attack, great album, but it wasn't really big though.
But just for example, Slayer's first few albums and EP are on Metal Blade in the U.S., Europe, right. Germany, everywhere else, Japan, it's on Roadrunner.
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on where you live, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason that Merciful Fate became King Diamond, from what I understand, there was an interview with Timmy Hansen, and he, said that basically they were trying to get away from, I might have been Combat Records. They were trying to do another deal, and they were told you can't use the name Merciful Fate. So that's why they did this, and that's why it's basically Merciful Fate for this album. For Fatal Portrait, it's still Merciful Fate, even though King Diamond's doing more of the songwriting. But since Sherman's off, but I think it's like Prince changing his name to a set of keys, because you can't use the name. We own your name.
Looks like a set of keys. I never thought of it.
Neither have I. That's a good one.
I like that.
I never heard that story though. Where would you hear that?
I think I heard that. Well, I didn't hear it from Timmy Hansen because it was like subtitles. I don't
remember. I don't remember Michael Denner saying it, or even.
I don't think I'd ever heard anybody else say that, but to me that makes sense. And then you see they go from Combat to Roadrunner. Roadrunner's starting to blow up, and you see it's basically 3/5 of the same band. They're writing kind of the same type of material. It's a little less Hail Satan kind of stuff. It's more, the storytelling kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's got its own thing, of course, because it's concept album kind of stuff, and it's more focused on the lead singer. But it's still basically Merciful Fate, and then that coincides with them switching to a different label. So the story, it kind of makes sense. I don't care what you call it. It's good. It's just
awesome. I'm glad he kind of switched. He does this very well. Or at least he's done it very well for a while. Things happen. The Black Horseman. Oh yeah, he was awesome.
Oh yeah, the Black Horseman.
The Black Horseman.
The epic of the album.
The epic of the album. Black Horseman starts off with Abigail pushing Jonathan to his death down the steps. Miriam dies in labor in the crypt, remembering the arrival. The last thing she sees is a pair of yellow eyes. The horsemen arrive just before dawn and take the baby who was eating the dead Miriam in the sarcophagus. To the chapel in the forest for the ceremony, and it ends. This is an awesome ending to any album, ever.
Wayne, I was going to yell at you if you said you didn't like this one.
This song fucking sucks.
I was like, come on, Wayne, now you're going too far.
No, how could you
that's
not
what
like
I
the
was
Black
waiting
Horseman?
for.
How could you not like the Black Horseman? That would be retarded. I would just stop watching doing this show if I did not like the Black Horseman. You got that acoustic intro, and you got that creepy intro with actually before the acoustic intro, but with King doing the choir with the look. Yeah, exactly. And just everything about this song is just so fucking awesome. It's just the acoustic guitars, I think, is my favorite part of the whole thing, really, because that really adds a whole other thing behind the heavy guitars and the drums and everything. Just
well, know me, Wayne. My favorite part is
I know
when the acoustic ends and he goes at the bottom of the stairs.
I love that too.
Bottom of the stairs.
I love that.
To me,
awesome.
Makes it all fucking worth it. The whole album. We're repeating that shit. It's like, god damn. Love it so much.
So good. And it's just he's just a master of arrangement. Because, writing parts is cool, writing riffs is cool, but how you put them together, in what sequence you put them together, how they flow together. I mean, King Diamond is just a master at that arranging. And it's like there's these little tricks of the trade in writing heavy metal. And one of those is the intro to the intro. right? Well, other genres have an intro, and they do the song. But in metal, you can have an intro that goes to the intro. And sometimes you have the intro to the intro to the intro, you know? And it's like it just builds on itself. And this is the longest song on the record.
Right.
So it's kind of like Iron Maiden, you know? They'd put their most epic, like, longest song at the end of the record, you know? And I think that's just like this payoff. You know, you went on this journey, telling you this story, and then you just get this epic, long musical payoff.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Greg.
It's a great song. I love it. It's arranged, like Lisa was saying, very, very well. This song itself is almost like a mini concept album within the concept album.
Right.
It's so multifaceted. They really shine here. Perfect closer, perfect song.
I love how they use the dun 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 dun, you know, after the acoustic piece, and then they bring it back toward the end.
Yes.
Before it just takes off.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's just so beautifully constructed, you know.
Yeah, it's all instrumental at the end. And this song also has that bump, 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 ba-dum, bump, 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 bump. It's got that 4/4 thing in this song again, too. And so it's something you'll just see. It's not like they overuse it or use it too much. It's just like, it just reminds you, hey, this is Merciful Fate. And, you know, it just reminds you of who you're listening to. So, yeah, love it.
Love it.
Although I have to say, as much as I love it, I still wonder what this and Fatal Portrait would sound like with Kim Russ on drums.
I think I would like it more, even though Mickey D is technically better. I would love to hear Kim Russ's interpretation of this.
I would just love to hear less like reverb and shit on. You know, it's a dated mix. I mean, we have to admit it's a dated mix. It's still a good mix, but you know, all snare, you know, it's just it's a bit much. But yeah, it's old school. It brings you back. It's like brings you back to the day, you know.
Yeah, there is a lot of albums from the 80s, though, that have that wet drum sound that I can't stand, that I wish they would redo.
Some bands it doesn't work with, but this album, it works perfectly, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Because some people overdo it, you know.
Yeah. And lyrically, this song's really cool because it just ties it all together. And, you know, like at the end, you can still hear her screaming if you're walking the stairs in July. So he brings you out of the story to you, the listener, and you are, it turns attention to the listener, you know, so you're going from the past to the present. So at the end of this album, they remind you that you're being told this story, and you know, and this ghost is still in that house, man.
Yep, and that's the end of another lullaby. The time has come for me to say goodnight.
Right. It's kind of like the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. You know, see his eye as he stops one of three, mesmerizes one of the wedding guests. You know, he's basically, hey, I'm telling you the story. You know, and I tried to incorporate some of that in 18 Rabbit. So I put my longest song is over 7 minutes on my record, you know, and made it a story. It basically goes from the present day to the past, you know, and, you know, back to the present day again. It kind of, you know, goes in and out of time. And that's what this song does. And this is just part of that legacy of just song craft that the great metal bands of the 80s had, and the sophistication of lyrics. Because, I mean, early on, Merciful Fate and a lot of bands that were like black metal and death metal, or, you know, death metal, or those lyrics are, I mean, they're corny, they're dumb, they're over the top, you know, but like Nuns Have No Fun, just dumb lyrics, man. Super dumb. It's just, I'm going to rape you and stab you and then dig you up again or whatever. You know? So this is like, man, this is really, you can see just this arc, just this upward arc of sophistication. Just so impressive, you know. And the dude is still doing it too. That's what's just amazing. He's still going. So, you know, he's 63 years old now, I think.
I just saw him a few months ago. And
Me
he
too.
He ended the show with Black Horseman. It was great.
Right.
Kicked ass. The
And
band kicked ass.
now that we're done with this, I pulled this out. Very first time I saw King
Let me
Diamond
pull out.
was the Abigail tour. This is the Abigail tour book,
Nice.
which is also a poster where you have the band members.
Oh
There's a little
man.
story, and then you pull out the full poster. If you can make this out.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Now, this is something, man, I couldn't find. My friend had a magazine at the time, and he was in the pit taking pictures. And I couldn't find the pictures except for the most important one I found. Now, here's something very unique. I don't know if you can make this out. If
Come
you
over
look-
the other way. Keep going.
Right.
There you go.
you
And go
get
back a
really
little bit.
close.
Back a little
Up
bit.
a little.
No, but I got to get it really close. Look at the fillings.
The fillings?
The fillings in King's teeth. It's an upside down cross.
Oh.
You get that out?
Oh,
His
yeah.
filling is an upside down cross.
It is.
Is that wild?
Satanic
Wow.
dental.
You gotta go back. It's blurry.
Nurse saying you suck shit.
Right. Yeah, that's there.
For crying out
Actually,
loud.
Send me a picture of that, and I'll put it up on the.
Okay, I'm telling you, I have like 12 pictures that he took that are that size, and that's the only one I can find now. But it's the most important one where you can see his fillings.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, I think. Did you tell us that before? You might have.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
I think you might have, but you never showed us the picture, so that's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, I went looking for pictures, and I only found that one. I know I have many more.
That's cool. Before this album, well, actually, maybe after this album, I don't know when those songs were released. But the song "Shrine." We didn't talk
It
about
was during the time
Yeah.
because it was the B side of Family.
It was the
Goes.
B side to Family Goes.
I have that single on vinyl.
Single, yeah.
That's a cool song. I like that song a lot.
I have
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't fit with the album because it's out of the story. But
Yeah.
like that part you just did, "I Am Burning for You." I love that. It's really cool.
Yeah, I like that song a lot. But one thing I was gonna bring up, I was watching an interview with him earlier, and some of what Lisa was talking about it was during the Fatal Portrait tour, but you could tell they were recording Abigail, and they were talking to him about different things, and he said, well, not to discount any of that, Fatal Portrait is the third Merciful Fate album as far as I'm concerned, regardless of what anybody says. He said, but I want to move away from the whole Satan thing because I feel like people aren't taking me seriously, and at the end of the day, I really don't care what you believe, and I'm not here to preach to you, he said. So what I really want to do is I want to tell people stories, and I want them to be horror stories, and I don't feel that anybody's ever done this before. So I feel you'll really get to see who I am on my next album, talking about Abigail.
That's great.
Yeah. And I thought that was a really cool interview with him. The only thing that kind of sucked about the interview is once he goes off, the hosts are like mocking him a little bit. It's like, oh, shut up. The guy didn't say one thing about Satan during the whole interview other than that he was moving away from that. And then they proceed to make all these stupid jokes after he goes off.
Yeah. Well, that's what Ghost did, too, with Meliora. And they were, I don't know if they were advised to do that. I think they may have been advised to do that. And they had one song, I think it was Majesty, where he was going to use the word Satan. And he said Master instead of Satan. And they were like, just take it out and let's see what happens. See what happens. And then they had a broader appeal, and it's still very sinister. It's very dark. I mean, lyrically, it's extremely dark, that record. But they won a Grammy.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to win a Grammy. It's like Satan this and Satan that, and
No.
So yeah, so it worked.
That's right, it worked.
And
And that
Abigail
was-
became a huge hit.
Oh, there was one other song. No Presents for Christmas. How did
No,
like that?
We talked about that with Fatal Portrait, though, because
No,
it
we
came
didn't.
out.
Well,
Yes,
that
we
came
did.
out before Fatal Portrait. That was the first thing
Did
he
it?
released.
Oh, was the single? Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah.
the first thing before Fatal Portrait, and which had Karen on the B side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody liked that song.
Love
Yeah.
it. I'll tell you a funny story about
Very
that song.
silly, but I like it.
When I
yeah.
saw the House of God tour, he performed it. Came out in Center Suit, and he
Mhm.
came out with a present, a box, and he threw it in the audience. And my friend opened it up, and there was nothing in there. That's genius. No presents
Like
for Christmas.
nothing for you. You'll get anything, you'll like it.
Yes, that's right. But the one thing I like about Abigail, and which doesn't, it's not always common with a lot of concept albums, and even some of his later albums, you can listen to every song kind of on its own. You don't have to listen to this in order, I don't think.
Right.
Every song
right.
works
Right.
on its own.
Yeah.
And some of his later albums, I think you have to listen to them, in complete order. But this one, you don't have to. Even Fatal Portrait, you can listen to them all whenever you want, And that's what makes this album good. That's what makes any concept album good, if you can listen to the songs on their own. And that's what that album accomplishes.
Right.
And
Indeed.
that's all I got to say.
The only thing negative I would ever have to say about this is he should have never tarnished the legacy by making the sequel.
Mm.
I agree. I sat down and I got lost, like reading it. I was like, I don't get this story. This story and the music wasn't. It really
The music is awful. They sat down with Hal Patino and Pete Black back, and they said, "Let's make something that sounds like them." And there's no passion in it. It sounds by the numbers, and it's not good. It's the only King Diamond album I really dislike.
I gotta agree with you there.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to talk about those because, with these albums, it's so hard to not like a song. And when we get to the later stuff, there's plenty of things that people don't like.
Abigail, too, has to be the one King Diamond album that's tough to get through.
Abigail, too, what bugs me the most about it is it's the only time he ever stopped, went back, and repeated himself instead of just going forward with his own ideas. And I think that's why it really suffers.
Yeah, like as, them and Conspiracy work because he did them back to back.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have to, go back and think of it again,
No, but he also, planned them and Conspiracy as a two-part story. Abigail was supposed to end there.
Right.
It wasn't supposed to. Hey, and unfortunately, it in the end, it was a good idea for him because he had to stop touring for a little bit while there because he had an injury, and it really kind of brought him back, and the tour was successful. And I get it. I just don't like that one.
All right. Well, again, thanks, Lisa, for coming on. Had
Yes,
a lot of
Lisa.
fun.
You were great.
You'll have to come on again.
Meet you guys.
Yeah. And
Likewise.
please tell people where they can buy your album again, White Crone.
On Bandcamp, White Crone, Crone. And if you like classic metal, if you like King Diamond, Merciful Fate, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Manowar, Ronnie James Dio, all that kind of stuff, I tried to let them channel themselves out and produced an album that's just like a prayerful homage to the metal that we loved. And yes, whitecrone.bandcamp.com.
And you also have a special guest on one of the songs as well.
I do. There's kind of a doomy song. It's like 58 beats per minute or something. And Vinny Appice comes on it. So
Nice.
I still pinch myself.
Wow.
Vinny Appice.
And then you,
Yeah.
And then you also have a cover. Fucking round.
Sorry.
What, are you planning a rave later?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You retired to become a club kid?
I told them I was ready to dance at 5:30. I didn't know we were going to be on.
Me neither. We ran late. And also, too, you did a cover of a Venom song, Seven Gates of Hell, right?
I did.
Oh,
Seven
nice.
Gates of Hell. And because I gotta love that first wave of black metal. Merciful Fate, and King Diamond, and Celtic Frost, and Venom, man. Venom, they were the shit. And that
Angel
song,
Dust.
I have a Venom poster hanging right there framed.
I polished it up and imagined, like, what if Dio sang Venom? And that's what the Seven Gates of Hell turned into.
I got to hear it.
On my,
I really
it.
liked it. I wasn't sure what it was going to sound like, but it's reworked well. I love it.
well, thank you. It's pretty, as far as the arrangement, it's pretty much the same. Pretty much the same song. It's just
It is, yeah, but it's not, recorded in a trash can. And unlike Kronos, you already know how to play the bass.
I thought he kicked ass on that record, but I think it's the singing thing. I was like, this song actually, could work. Somebody actually singing it instead of just grunting the words, So I actually heard it on an airplane. I was on a long flight. I think it was going to the UK or something. And I just downloaded this whole like Venom anthology, like everything they ever did, even like radio commercials they did, and just listen to the whole thing. When I got to that song, I was like, I got to do this. I got to do this song. I just fell in love with it, man. So yeah, glad you dig it.
Very cool. And also too, if you do buy the CD from Lisa, she will sign it for you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You tell her to. So that was really cool. And then you also have your blues thing as well, right? LisaMann.com, right?
LisaMannMusic.com. So blues, contemporary blues, a little R&B. Actually, Vinny Appice played on one of my blues songs, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I just cold called him, said, hey, you do side gigs, man? Here, will you play on my record? And he said, okay. So that was
cool.
That was that. So still doing that thing. Got a new EP coming out. It's kind of Americana and blues. That'll be coming out probably in a couple of months.
Oh, awesome!
Finish that up during this quarantine.
Yeah, right. Unbelievable. Hopefully we get out of this soon. All right. Anything else, Ralph? You want to talk about your podcasts, where they can find you?
You can find me on This Podcast Belongs to Them on the Rat Salad Review Network. Also, the Viera Vault podcast and Almost Human on YouTube, which is approaching 16,000 subscribers.
Whoa!
And just past 9 million views.
Wow.
And,
Wow, jeez.
Yeah. So,
cool.
Pretty cool, man. Oh, and my radio show on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern on thatmetalstation.com.
Cool.
We're catching up to you. We only have 262 subscribers, so we're getting there.
Oh, but you just sent me a commercial, and I'm going to start tagging them on to my future videos. I have a lot of videos I got to put up before that, but once I have a recent video to put the commercial on, I will give you a heads up when it's finally aired.
All right, very cool. Actually, I have an updated version. I have to resend it to you. Somebody
that's fine.
Change the name of their show. Anyway, we're going to go to an interview that me and Greg did with Michael Denner, and we will talk about the Abigail album. And actually, this is going to be Michael Denner's last interview for a while because obviously he left King Diamond. So he'll be back later on. But enjoy our interview, or one of our last interviews with Michael Denner about King Diamond, and we will see you next time.
Schmack 'em a gob.
Slowly we rot.
Yeah.
Now, for the Abigail album.
Yeah.
That's the one that, like you said earlier, that's the one that everybody goes to as their favorite album. Is this your favorite King Diamond album that you've been a part of?
Yes. Yes, it is. And the reason is the band was tight.
Yeah.
We very well played together. It was a very strong lineup. And the two Swedes in the band, they now they were part of the band and the working progress. On the first album, they just came in and did what we asked them to do.
Yeah.
On the second one, they had something to say. They wrote, arranged and wrote songs, and the playing was excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, the drums on. I mean, Mickey is a brilliant drummer.
Yeah,
the same goes for Snowy. I mean, even though it's two guys I played with, but they're among my favorite, all-time favorite drummers. These two guys,
Yeah, they both influenced me a lot. Mickey a little bit more because of these the two King Diamond albums, where I really got to hear Mickey's playing, and he's awesome. I mean, he still is really.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now he's tearing it up with Scorpions.
He's out with Scorpions, making a lot of money. I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were always one of my favorite bands too. I mean, he picked a good one. They don't really.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the things they did with Uli Roth.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Virgin Killer and Take It by Force in Trance.
Yeah,
Man, that guitar work, it's amazing. I saw them live when they just released in Trance in the mid-70s in Copenhagen. They were supporting a band called The Sweet in Copenhagen, and Sweet were huge here at that point in mid-70s. So when Scorpions came in, completely unknown, all the kids, 5,000 kids started, we want Sweet, and then they started to play, and I was sitting there, second row, just, wow, what the hell is this? And the guitarist, man, it was amazing. Actually, I met Uli Roth I played in Tel Aviv in Israel as an all-star jam, and he was there. And I said, I saw you in 1976 in Copenhagen supporting, Brøndbyhallen in Copenhagen. You remember that show, Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, cool. Amazing guitarist. Mm.
Oh, I agree. My favorite Scorpion song of all time is one of his, "We'll Burn the Sky" from Taken by
Oh, yeah.
That's
a great one.
Song.
Yeah. Michael B. I mean, Pictured Life, Backstage. The songs on Virgin Killer, because of the guitaring, it's amazing what he can play. I mean, still to this day, I mean, not many guitarists can play what he did. I mean, that's well over 40 years ago. I mean, that man was smoking. What a brilliant guitarist.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just look at Robot Man. Real short song, but he tears it up on there in a way.
Yeah, with his sound and his shit. Of course, he's inspired by Hendrix, but there's so much more in it. There's so much more in his playing,
Oh,
yeah, and his feel is exceptional. Really, I mean, these Hanover guitarists, Michael Schenker, Uli Roth, and I mean, come on. It's very, very high on my list. But then again, you can also hear it on my own playing. I was very inspired by these guitarists. I have, the Northern Europe, the Hanover style, as Snowy called it.
Yes.
He say I play Hanover guitar, and I take that as a big, big compliment.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons I got into Merciful Fate so easily is because of the guitars, because you guys do, especially your playing reminds me a little bit of Uli, and I was huge into that era of the Scorpions.
I'm really proud that you say that, man, because Uli is, he's a big, big hero for me. I mean, definitely on my top 5 guitar list. Yeah.
Yeah, you both make my top 10, so.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Who is the guitarist that got you into playing guitar?
Actually, it was my father, who was a blues guitarist in the late 60s.
Oh, okay.
He said, he was sitting there because I'm 1/16 of me are gypsy. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of the gypsies came to our home and played with my father. Okay. So I was sitting there watching his fingers, and I started playing myself in around 1970, 71.
Oh.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
So that was inspired me in the beginning. But then one of my very first heroes, of course, Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, but also a guy called Leslie West from the band called Mountain.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Yep.
He's a big influence for me, and I read that Michael Schenker's inspiration is Leslie West as well. So things are starting to get. I mean, then you answer some questions. I said, he got the same inspiration by Leslie West,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. And it's funny too. You mentioned that because so many of the bands I love, and then we were talking about them that mentioned Leslie West, but also even Mick Ralphs from another one of my favorite bands, Mott the Hoople.
Oh, yeah.
That's who he mentioned.
That company after that. Yeah.
He says, Leslie.
He has
West
a very nice tone.
Yes.
A very nice tone, Mick Ralph. Yeah. I saw Mott the Hoople live here in Copenhagen, and it was also mid-70s. But they changed the guitarist. Mick was not playing the band; he was in a bad company. So they picked a guy called Mick Ronson, who played with David Bowie. So when I saw them live, suddenly Mick Ronson was on stage with Mott the Hoople instead of Mick Ralph.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but it was a great
wow.
concert though.
That was the last tour they did before they dropped the Hoople from the name and Ian Hunter left.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when Mick left, they had Ariel Bender, Luther Grosvenor from Spooky Tooth, and then he took off. So wow, that's amazing. Not very many people got to see those shows.
No. And then Luther Grosvenor, I mean, he was an okay guitarist, but not in the same league as Mick Ralph in my book.
No.
Mick Ralph was a far better guitarist, as I see it. More in my taste, definitely.
Oh yeah, well you can go and just with Mott the Hoople, their 1970 album Brain Capers. What he does is just so amazing on there and so unique. And then you have the Hoople with Grosvenor on it, which is popular. It's glam rock. Some songs are cool, but Mott kind of lost their heart when they lost Mick.
No. I mean, it's not. It's the guitar. The guitar playing is not in the same league. I mean, he plays a bit messy, as I hear it. A bit like a chaotic compared to Mick Ralph, who is a more basic blues rock guitarist. I saw Bad Company in '76 in Copenhagen. They just released the album Run with the Pack, and Mick Ralph was sharp. He played great guitaring. It was so cool. Yeah.
All right, let's get back to Abigail.
Yeah, I get carried away. To talk about when we start talking about '70s hard and heavy, then I'm unstoppable, man.
Yeah,
it's my big passion.
Fine. But you can come on.
Okay.
I would love to talk about Blue Oyster Cult any day of the week.
Hey, don't get me started, man.
You're a fan of that too?
Oh yeah, 78.
Yeah, right.
They had the support act was John Cougar Mellencamp. He was completely unknown at that point. He was completely unknown.
Wow.
He did a good set though. It was good rock set.
Yeah, he's got some cool songs.
Cool.
Yeah. But Blue Oyster Cult they blew me away. They had this laser show, as one of the first bands ever to play with laser.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. 78.
I watched a documentary about that, actually. They were the first ones that developed that, and Kiss and everybody else would actually rent it from them.
Wow. So now I always heard that Zeppelin was the first laser act.
No, I do believe it was like quite sensational when they did it way back in '78, Blue Oyster Cult. And they did. They released Some Enchanted Evening, that live album. That was from the same tour as I saw them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, way back then. Okay, but let's return to Abigail.
Yeah, I like them.
Okay.
They're a good band. They're from my area, so I have to like them,
Okay.
But Abigail, do you have a favorite song off of this? And I hope you say Black Horseman.
I mean, now you make it hard for me, I mean, that album, there's so many great songs. But Four Horsemen, of course. I mean, the solo I did on that is, there's a lot of people pointing at that solo. And it wasn't, actually, that solo wasn't among my favorites when I recorded it. Because it was more like, that was more basically me. It was not... I mean, some of the solos I did on that album, I had to really try hard to make it work, and this was it just came out of me, that solo. So, but of course, it's a very beautiful song. I'm also into the title track because of King's vocals on the title track. It's, I mean, in my book, it could be his finest moment ever as a vocalist.
Yeah,
the title track on Abigail. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Now there was a video for that song, right?
Abigail?
Yeah. Were you? Or no, it was a Family Ghost.
Family Ghost.
Yeah. Were you in the video? I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, I quit right before they started the tour and the video recordings, and it was Michael Moon who replaced me.
Right. Yep.
And he was only on he played one tour and they released one album from that Abigail Live or something. Yeah.
Yep.
It didn't really work as I see it. But then they got Pete Black and it became better, on them and Conspiracy and Forward, That was your, he fitted more perfect for the band in my opinion,
What was your decision on leaving?
Pardon?
What was your decision to leave?
The thing is, we had a discussion because at that point there was a lot of hype, especially in Sweden, about Motley Crue and bands like that, with high hair and makeup and shit.
Yeah.
And I always hated it.
Right.
So we had a discussion because the Swedes in the band wanted it to be more glamorous, the image of the King Diamond band.
Right.
And as you can see, if you flip the cover on Abigail, you can see this guy, in a leather jacket, looking very, moody. Yeah. And the rest of the guys are standing like flashy guys with uniforms and high hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I left. Because I could not be part of that, I always hated that type of music.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I never been into this, 80s glam. That's not for me. Definitely not.
Well, you seem to have straight hair as well, so I don't know if your hair would really perm that well.
You're right. I mean, I don't have hair for your band, so I quit. So yeah, you're right. But then again, I always it's always been my dream to have my own record shop.
Right.
And I was able to open one at that point. And I had a girlfriend back then. I was supposed to marry, and there was a lot of things going on. And but the last straw was the discussion about the image. With the Swedes. I say, no way I will do it, and I asked King, and he said, it's up to you guys to decide and take that discussion. And then I slammed the door and I said, yeah, just forget it. I'm out of here. So
did you listen to any of the albums after that?
Pardon?
Did you listen to any of the albums after you left, or were you
still
a fan?
Definitely. When I heard them, the next studio album with Pete Black, he was an old friend of mine before he joined King Diamond, a great guy and great guitarist. When I heard them, it was like seeing your girlfriend kissing another guy. Of course I didn't break down, but I got really sad and jealous when I heard it, because it was a brilliant album. So that was even worse. Of course I didn't hope that it was awful because I was out, but not that good, please. It was brilliant. Yeah, and the same goes for the next album, Conspiracy. That was also a very good album, and strong album in my book. Yeah.
So you wish you would have stayed and just dealt with the perm.
Pardon?
I said you wish you would have stayed and just dealt with the perm.
No, no way. Not for anything in the world, man. Nothing. No.
You get rid of the Flying V and get a Kramer guitar.
Yeah, get a Kramer guitar and start posing. That's not my type. I'm a children of hippies, so that's not my thing, Yeah. I tried to put a bit of curls in my hair, for the cover of Fatal Portrait, and that was more than enough for me. When I see the photo these days, even I look cute, but then again, I said, no, Michael, that's not you. That's not you on that photo,
So in between that and the In the Shadows album, what did you do? You had the music store then?
I had the music store, and I immediately after started to work on my new band, Lavina.
Okay.
It was a band I tried to do, but the thing is, at that point I was partying a lot. I was drinking quite heavily, and my life was a bit shaky. Yeah. Because right after I quit King Diamond, my girlfriend I was supposed to marry left me. So I was like in a hole, between chairs.
Yeah.
And but this happened for a lot of people, you go down for some time. Mm-hmm. So I started to work on this band, Lavina, and it didn't work. I was not serious about it. Yeah. And then my old friend Hank, he was getting fed up with the Fate and the pop heavy. So he asked me, let's try and work out some songs, let's see if we can do something. Mm-hmm. And we did the Sosa Mess album. If you know that, do you know that Sosa Mess?
So no. Mm.
No, we did an album together in '91, which is a pure heavy rock. 70s inspired. And we brought in some guest singers. You know, Jens from the Brats was in and singing. You know, and we did an album there and started writing songs for the second album. And then King, he heard some of the songs we were supposed to do for the second album. Must have been around 92.
Right.
And then he said, it sounds like Almost Fate.
Wow.
And one thing led to another, and then we reunited because of these songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So it wasn't like a record label thing, you know, wanting to get the band back together.
No. It was like King was at my place for coffee. Yeah. And I played these Saucer Mess tunes we were supposed to release for the album number 2. And he said, wow, that sounds like Almost Merciful Fate. Wow. And then we started, remember the old days and things. And Hank was back in business, playing heavy. And it was like street music just came out, you know. And like a fairy tale, you know. Then, three amigos were back. Yeah.
What was Greg?
I was going to say, I haven't heard that album in a long time, but Vizier of the Wasteland, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know this? Yeah. You know the album?
Yeah, that was really good. Like, Wayne, like I said, I'm super into Michael's guitar playing. I got all the old
so am I, but
Fate demos and everything in between.
I'm a big fan of, you know, both King Diamond's Fate and Mike's stuff, but, you know, not like you. You know, Greg's younger than me, but he acts like he's like 30 years older than me. He's just like an old soul.
he's collecting stuff. Seriously.
Yeah. I saw mine.
It's the same with me and the old stuff from the 70s. I'm a huge collector of heavy rock in general. Yeah.
So if you were on video, you would see behind me my wall of CDs. Everybody makes fun of me about, but Greg just comes up with all these weird, you know, bands and things, and sometimes I don't know, and sometimes I do. But like this, like you just brought up, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a
cool.
It's a really
check it out, man. There's some good songs on that.
I definitely will, because you know, I like your playing, and especially if you and Hank are back together, I definitely have to hear it. So
I mean, there's some quite sharp guitar work on that one. You know, there's some good guitar work, and also some good. I mean, Jens from the Bratz days, he done some very nice vocals on that album. You know, yeah.
I thought so as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?